Hello and welcome back. We're just having a glance in the 61 catalogue here, and we've got the Lord of the Isles there, R.354, and the R.37 tender available in the RS8 passenger set of that year, a very large set if you just go on to look at the contents of the set there. And that had Series 3 track. I think as Super 4 came along in the following year, 62, the set became RS28. And then I think there was another set a little bit later, RS48, with slightly less contents, just an oval of track and the locomotive and coaches. But that would have been quite some set to get for your birthday or Christmas. You would have to be a very lucky person indeed, I think. So that's the terrific cover of the 61 catalogue. So we'll just pop that down. And she showed up again. I think she was made into 64, 65, and then she was dropped from the catalogue for a while. And then she showed up again in 72 in a very glossy finish. Earlier on, she'd just been matte. I think she was available with and without smoke, but by 72, it was without smoke. That looks quite red, doesn't it, the underframe of the locomotive there. And if we just pop this down, we'll have a look at the catalogue. So sadly I don't have a 61 price list, but this is a great one from Beatties of London. And we've got the price there, February 72. And it looks like it's been typed out manually, doesn't it? So if we look down it, we find the catalogue number here for the locomotive as she was sold. I think that year, solo R354, £5.90. So it really is a lovely price list. And here it has the half pennies on some of the items as well. So that half penny character on a manual typewriter perhaps. And it's quite a list. And we've got the Wren items here as well, I think. And just have a look down there. And some of you may be familiar with the catalogue numbers of the various Triang Wren items at the time. So we'll just pop that down and have a quick look at the image in the 72 catalogue. Again, this is my battered old copy of the 72 image catalogue, sorry. It's got a fold right down the centre of it. And there she is, looking all sort of bright and glossy with a Clerestory coach. I've decided to run my model today with some later Hornby Railways coaches of the late 70s. But we'll see those shortly. So we'll just pop that to one side and we'll have a quick look over the model in the box. So fairly plain Hornby Railways box of the era. So I think this model was available in the early 70s, between 72 and 74-ish from what I've read. So there's the info just on a plain white sticker on the end of the box, R354 G.W.R 422 loco. So I'm not pronouncing that very well, am I? So we've got Lord of the Isles underneath there. So I think it's quite an unusual wheel arrangement as things go. And forgive me if I've misread it. So we'll take off the top. It's in fairly good condition, the box. Sort of plain cardboard on the inside and no rusty staples. So we'll just pop that down. I think the light in the room is about to get very, very bright. We've got the sunlight beginning to stream across the room, so it's quite nice when you look through the door into the railway room in the mornings. You see it lit brightly with sunlight. Of course, not terribly good for models on the railway, so it's a good idea to try and remember to close the blinds. So there's the model number. We've got the instruction sheet, R354, and we've got the date there. See if I can read this one correctly. It's 20th of the 1st, 72. So you can still see we've got half sleeper ends on the track there. So I think this model was designed with System 6 track in mind. So it has appropriate wheels, which we'll see in a moment. We'll just have a quick look over this instruction sheet. Very crisp paper. And there's lots of interesting information on how to wire up your layout. And just interestingly, going back on an earlier video there, we've got the track cleaning car. It looks like the track cleaning car down on the rails there. But interesting, looking at the track there, that looks more like a piece of Series 3 that it's sitting on, doesn't it? So Just have a swift look across the back of the leaflet there. And you've got some really lovely, quite lovely diagrams, oiling points and so on. And there we have Rovex Limited, Westwood, Margate, Kent. So we'll just pop that down. We'll have a swift look over the model in the box. So she's become very, very shiny by this period in time. And you've got that sticker, or sort of transfer on the tender there. It's not quite as crude as that King that we saw a little bit earlier in videos. And even though it's very, very shiny, we've still got a paper label on here with the name of the locomotive on. I think there was a presentation set released in the 80s. I can't remember the pack number. If I can find it, I'll put it in the corner of the screen. And I think they began to. This was printed or painted, as it had a painted finish by then. But this is just a paper label on the side of here. But really, is quite a lovely model and very, very shiny. And there she comes through points 1B and 2B. Doing quite well with the point work since I've been playing with it. Much better than the Super 4. It doesn't seem to drop into the great big gaps in the frog. So we'll just pause there and we'll switch a few points. So we're going to move around and collect those four-wheel coaches I've decided to use today. Through the curved point there. And just beyond 1-0 there. Switch the feed, reverse the direction. Got quite a distinctive sound, this model. We're running on the half wave. I just thought the Clerestory coaches, the wheel flanges are a bit too deep and they'll be bouncing around a little bit too much. So that's one of my reasons for using these little four-wheel coaches today. Let's see how she does with the diamond crossing, picking up some rapid pace there. Through the other curved point, through points 8 onto the main line, and then we'll have a nice gentle stop there. So there she is, all on the rails with those little four-wheel coaches. I think it makes quite a nice set. I'm glad I decided to run them together today, even though they're all a little bit different colours and so on. But I also dug out this price list. This is a copy. This is from 1962, and it's got the RS28 set there. So that was the version with the Super 4 when it came along. And just look at the price of that, but with smoke as well, 177 shillings and 6. That's quite a price, isn't it? But it was an awful lot in the set. And then the locomotive as an individual item here, R.354 without smoke. I think that was at 42 and 7, and with smoke 60 and 3. So we'll just give her a little power. We'll move her from the outside to the inside line. So we're going to come to the points there near the signal box. That's points 1 and then 2B there. And there she is on the inside line. We'll just bring her up next to the station and we'll bring her to a stop, and then we'll close up the points behind her. There we go. And now we'll be able to run safely around the inside line, hopefully without any incident. Got lots of great Western coaches on the railway at the moment. You can see that varnish on the tender on the coal load there. It really does look quite distinctive from that angle, doesn't it? Maybe it helps pick out the coal, I'm not sure. I don't think it was an intentional thing. I think it's just a poor adhesion to the plastic, really. That lead four-wheel coach there has got a little bit of a wobble on it, hasn't it? So the other ones seem a little more settled. And you can see those very bright wheel flanges there on the side of the model. They do stick out quite a bit. I think perhaps the steel-tired version looks a little better. Yeah, quite an impressive pace she's running at, but once you start getting very much slower than this, you're right on the edge of the motor, and this is half wave as it is, so it's does add to the noise the motor's making as well. It's quite echoey inside the bodywork. Looking terrific coming through there. And then we'll plan to bring this whole lot to a gentle stop again. Tank loco looking great sitting inside him with the wagons there. We'll have to get some more freight out on the railway soon. So like the Evening Star, this is quite an awkward model to hold and have a look at, so I've left it on the rolling road. We'll just have a look down the side. So I think when this model was first designed in 1961, it was got quite a lot of positive reviews from the press for its modelling. I think they used I think it's the XT60 motor, which was initially designed, I think, for the TT range. So it's incredibly shiny. If you have a look at the tender though, the coal load, when I first got the model, I thought that was dust from just lying or standing on the layout, but it looks more like it's a reaction for the plastic and the glaze, the very glossy glaze which was put on it, because certainly doesn't brush off when you look at it closely. I think that glaze or the gloss varnish is just beginning to separate from the plastic, sadly. But it's nothing too much to worry about. The rest of the model is in just such stunning condition. As I said when we looked at the catalogue picture, it looks very reddy brown, doesn't it? The underframe, where it seems much browner, I think is the way of describing it. And you can see we've got the plated or nickeled wheels. We'll have a look at those from underneath in a moment. They're quite interesting. I'm not sure whether they're actually plated or they're turned tyres and fitted to the cast wheel section. I know when Magnesium came in, you had tyres put on the wheels, but I'm never sure whether they're cast or stamped out. But these ones sort of look like they're actually turned. But maybe just my ignorance in how these things are produced. And we've got that very, very shiny dome there on the top, and we've got that copper cap on the chimney by the looks of it as well as a separately fitted part. It is it's quite something. Those lovely round little windows in the front of the cab there. And we'll just have a quick look down the other side of the model. I've just turned her around. We'll keep her on the rolling road. You see that cast front bogie there, plastic wheels. Just have a look at that coupling in there. See that, if I can get in close enough, you can see it's riveted onto the bogie, and the tops of those rivets have been folded over and they've been made brown or painted brown like the rest of the bogie. I think that's quite nice. Again, you can see that paper label over that large drive wheel there with the name of the model on there, name of the locomotive, sorry. So I think later models that ended up painted in the 80s for the version that was released for the presentation set. So it's a lovely detail, isn't it? Look at that spring under the number on the cab side there. Really terrific. So I don't want to sort of clean this model too much. You can see the odd bits of dust here and there, but the more you start rubbing at it or brushing it, the more sort of marks are going to appear on it. And again, that's just as noticeable, the tender, the coal load, isn't it, when you look from the top there. But it's such a pretty thing, and that transfer on the side of the tender doesn't show up too badly from this angle. Not like that later model we were looking at a few weeks ago. And now we get that lovely view on the back, very, very shiny. Lovely red buffer beam there. And we'll just have a quick look across the top of the model. There's some lovely detail being introduced to that tender. I don't know whether we can see into the cab from this angle, but I think we do have some detail there. I think we'll have a separate look at that. It's a bit dark and dingy in there from this angle. We'll just continue across the top of the model here. There, I've just separated the tender and the main part of the locomotive there. That'll give us a much better look at the inside of the cab there, if I don't throw my own shadow across the back of it. So we do have a fair bit of cab detail there, and a nice place to stand the crew. I think if you look at my earlier video, there we go, I'm getting into shadow there. My earlier video, my mid-60s version of this I've got, it's in matte from the export set. I think that's R640. You see it actually comes with crew. I'll leave a link to the earlier video, but you can see that they've made a good effort at putting detail in there, and it would look quite impressive with a pair of figures standing there. And you can see the drawbar there and the fixing screw for the body onto the chassis there. I haven't done it up too tightly. I really don't want to crack the bodywork. It is such a fragile thing, this piece of moulding, I think. We'll just have a quick look on the underside of the model here. We can see the underside of the coupling there on the front bogie, and it has lost a little bit of paintwork on the bottom edges there, I suppose, possibly when people have been mounting this on the track. So it's done some running, but not a great deal. And there, if you have a look at the surface of those wheels, so I think they're quite finely made. If you look at the edge of them, those tyres. So I don't know whether that's plated or whether that's sort of turned out of a material or stamped out of a material. I wonder if anybody knows more about how those are made. I know initially they were plating the wheels, and that plating used to wear through. And I think later they actually have tyres. Some of the later 70s models actually have tyres made out of quite a fine material. You can see the flanges are still quite crude, although they're quite shallow, and they really don't seem to suffer at all on this System 6 style track. And you've got that black collection plate there with built in Britain and Triang's name. So it's interesting, it's still got Triang's name there. Even though this is definitely just running, I suppose it is still Triang Hornby, isn't it? So it is almost Hornby Railways era, this 1972. And you've got the black plastic wheels on the sleeved axles. So the axle boxes are closed on the tender there, but nice spoked wheels. And I think if we can get the light down there, we can see we've got Triang's name again, and I think it's that R37. The tender was initially, it was sold separately and built in Britain, and then the coupling just held in with a flathead screw there into the base of the tender. So it really is quite a lovely thing, and it does have magnet adhesion. It's got a great big magnet sitting between these two wheels, so obviously it just drives from this one, and this is just a free running wheel, but because of its magnet adhesion, it holds the back end of the model. So it holds the back end of the model down on the track. I know I've got this upside down, but it adds for better traction overall and better pickup. If that rear wheel stays down there on the rails, you get better continuity. And I believe the later variant may have had pickups on the front, which would hugely improve its running, although it really doesn't seem to do that badly on this track at the moment. We'll just have a quick look at this running on the rolling road here. You can see she is in really lovely condition. So just looking at this, it's even more impressive that this was all designed and come up with in the early 60s. And you can see you wouldn't have got that X04 motor in there, would you? So that's a much narrower construction, so enabling to get all this in that fine bodywork back there. You can see that pickup wire running up the side of the chassis there. That's quite interesting, the way it's sort of channeled into the chassis block. It really is quite a lovely thing. Let's see if we can have a look directly at the side of that motor. But I think these run at they're quite uncontrollable. Well, uncontrollable is not really the right word. The gearing is such that they do tend to sort of take off quite rapidly. They're very energetic on the rails. We'll just switch 0.7R there, so we can move from the inside onto the outside line, through there without any incident, and we'll have a gentle stop, and we'll switch the points. hear that slight hum as we introduce the power to the motor. And down the long straight. Great sound coming from the model. Almost has a clockwork sound about it. There's definitely a bit of a sort of a rasp about it inside the shell, the body shell, once you get that on. But running lovely and smoothly, and not a hesitation on that diamond crossing. You think of the models that do get tripped up by it with the pickup, so I think that does really, really well. Now storming down the outside straight again and around past the station. Let's see if we can get a slightly different angle on it as it comes around there. Yeah, I think that's absolutely terrific across that diamond crossing. That lead coach is beginning to wobble a little bit. We must have a look at the wheels on that, I think. A nice gentle stop there. There we go. We'll just have a quick look at the coaches. So the G.W.R. four-wheel coach first showed up in '78. So you can see I've got a few boxes covering different periods. So there's a couple from late '70s. I'm thinking, judging by the boxes there. Boxes in fairly tidy condition. Let's just pop those to one side, and then we've got a couple of other boxes here. Same model number, R213. I think these are probably early 80s at this stage. Again, you've got that slightly different logo and the packaging. Again, all quite nice, tidy condition. And then this one I think is probably late 80s. So when they changed the boxes, I think they went to white rimmed wheels as well. And I think in the late 80s, I think probably possibly made up into the 2000s. So I think this is late 80s style box, and we've got a different coach catalogue number by this point. So a model made for many, many years, I think used in different train sets. Probably lots of colour variations, but there's two basic colour variations I think that are noted. So this is the earlier one, as first released with the silver seal wheels, and it's probably quite deep and rich in colour. So it's creamy yellow, and got sort of light printing along the sides there. We've got the silver seal type wheels with those square axles. Again, I'm struggling with the light coming through the window now. It's become quite bright and contrasty in here. And we do have some code numbers on the bottom there. I think we've got made in Great Britain. And I think Hornby Railways is just under that axle. We can just see it hiding now. I do quite like the ones with the silver seal wheels. And these early ones still have the metal couplings. So if we have a look at a slightly later one, the chassis is almost the same, but that coupling's become moulded in, hasn't it? Now we've got the white rimmed wheels. Let me see if we can do this without dropping it. And we can see the colour has shifted quite a bit, hasn't it? It's gone very, very light in very cream. Well, I suppose that could be perhaps described as yellow, but I think they're both creams, but this is very light. And I'm not entirely sure whether this becomes a paint finish at this point. It's quite hard to tell. But they sort of look quite nice together. So I think they churned a few of these out over the years, and then I think even with that change from the deeper colours to this one, there is slight variation in this. I think these are slightly different, from different colours from batch to batch. But again, quite cute little things. They made these in various different liveries, a slightly different arrangement with the naming and things on the bottom of this one. I had that the right way up to start with, didn't I? So we've got the made in Great Britain there, another code number there, and then the Hornby Railways. But yeah, quite nice things. I think they go quite nicely with the model today. I think that roof unit is, the top of it is painted white, and it's inclusive of the windows. I think it just plugs into the base, and then the chassis clips onto the bottom of there. So quite an interesting design. I think quite good for them to make different variations over the years. So we'll just reverse the direction We need to back that up a little. Seems I've overshot the points in my enthusiasm there. So we'll just go beyond points 1B. Nice view of all the wiring down the back of the controllers there. There we go, so we're all set. And we're going to go up and over as well, so we've got the access to the incline section. So I don't think she's going to have any trouble at all climbing. She does have the magnetesian on that pair of very large drive wheels. Nice and smoothly up there. So just watch what happens as she levels out and then begins to descend. Picking up a little power. And then she turns into the Great Western Bullet. But surprisingly well through those points at that speed. And once the momentum's gone from running down, she calms down again. Great fun. It's got to make you smile, really. We'll just run around again. And placing the signals around there, I must get time to put those in at some point. So we'll just close up those. And then we'll run back through onto the inside line here, and we'll stop those there for a moment. We'll separate the inside and outside line power, and we'll open up the isolating sections in the station. And number 8 there puts the feed into the station, and as I promised last week, we'll see if we can have the 9F, the Evening Star, with a handful of coaches. You can hear my controller squeaking away there. There she is, just moving into life. Bit of a jump on one of the bits of point work there. So I've got a mixture of liveries on the old Triangle Hornby Mark 1s there. And that is really effortless. Don't think it proves any problem at all for this terrific model. And straight through points number 8 again. We'll just run back round through the station. We'll see if we can get a wider shot and get the whole lot in a second. There we go. Of course, no problem at all with the diamond crossing with all those pickups on the locomotive. Just all traction tyres on the tender, of course. Six traction tyres on here, so plenty of pulling power. So we'll just run that straight back out of the station. And then we'll just stop that there. And we'll switch points 8R, and we'll roll it forward, and we'll close the points behind the coaches. There we go. And then a little bit more power, we'll get her on the move again. We'll run her fully around the outside line now. And it looks quite impressive with the mix of liveries there. Parcels coach at the front. I think we've got a restaurant in there too. And then we'll get the Lord of the Isles underway as well, so we'll have the pair of them running, so quite a difference in the two models. Of course, quite a light load for the Lord of the Isles with just the little four-wheel coaches there. Let's see if we can get both trains in shot at the same time. Quite a difference in scale, isn't there? Not really scale, but in length of train, I think. It's just purring away. Let's see if we can pick up the 9F again there. Steadily dragging those coaches around the layout. Not quite as smooth as those Silver Seal wheels. These are all sort of black plastic wheels with pinpoint axles. They're quite free running for their time. And then from the other side of the layout, So it's quite nice to step back and have a look. Plenty of things lying in those sidings. That's the downside of having all that space. I'm tending to leave things lying around on the layout now rather than putting things away and getting things out. So I suppose that could be a good thing. So it's quite nice to see the things on the layout. And here comes the Lord of the Isles again. Really lovely models, these. But then I probably would say that because I bought them and collected them, and I just quite enjoy owning them. Really is nice watching the valve gear on that 9F. Great set of wheels, really lovely bit of design, I think. It's great where they sort of converge and split away again when you get the two trains coinciding with each other. I think we're going to get that again around the corner here. So we should try and get a camera mounted behind the station so we get some shots of it coming down there. I think that could be quite good fun. So we'll just stop the Lord of the Isles there. And then we'll calm down the passenger train with the 9F. And then we'll switch some points and get that great long train back in the station, I think. Through the curved point. Across the diamond crossing. Let's see if we can roll it right back into the platform there. Got the Class 37 there with 3 of those illuminated coaches. We should have a look at that running. That's quite some power draw there as well. With the 3 illuminated coaches taken from the track at the same time as the model. And we'll just pull that a little bit further forward for what we've got planned next. There we go. So we'll throw some switches, we'll isolate the 9F, and then we'll return the Lord of the Isles and the coaches back to the platform where we started. So that's going through that little crossover there, that's 40 or 40, whichever way round you read it, and through points 10. And then we'll have to switch 40 again, change the direction, and we'll just bat those back into the station. There we go. So we'll just uncouple the coaches and we'll roll it forward just beyond points 10 there. We'll switch that for later use, so you have to be curious, don't you? With that Lord of the Isles with the Magnesian. Now I'm just going to push these coaches by hand to try and simplify things here. We'll reverse the direction, alter the isolating switches. Let's see what this model does with that Reiko Mark 1 coaches. Just out of scientific interest perhaps, or just pure curiosity. Hear it into life there, the motor going, you can see the coaches beginning to move. There's a little wheel slip going on there, which has got traction. She's purring away with them. Well, that's incredible pulling power just from those 2 drive wheels, and they are plated as well. But we've got the steel track, so we've got the full benefit of the Magnesian there. Close points 8, so we don't derail on the way back round. Let's see if we can get some slightly wider shots there. And I think that's fairly impressive. definitely benefiting from a little bit of built-up momentum. But she's definitely doing the business. And we just slow it down a little. So then again, that's right on the edge of what the motor's happy doing. It sounds like the motor's only just turning over. And you've got that sort of slight growl from the motor on the half wave. But she's doing it. I don't think we've got significant wheel slip there. I think possibly once she's in the curves we might get some. So that curve takes a lot out of them. And possibly a little wheel slip there. But very powerful from that tiny little motor. Originally designed for the TT range, I think, back in the late 50s. So we'll just get this back around again. Then I think what we've got to do, really, is perhaps turn up the power a little bit, like that. I don't know what's more impressive, the speed or it's actually staying on the rails. But she's absolutely solid. And I was quite surprised when it did this. I wasn't really going to film it, but I thought we'd better have a look. But I think that's probably it for this week. But thanks again for watching. I apologise for the lack of scale speed, but this is all good fun. So we'll just calm that down. Thanks a lot. Goodbye now.